2025 is practically over. Thank God. And this year, I think personally, we got some incredible music. I was really doubtful about whether this year would be so stacked because 2024 is gonna go down as like one of the best years for popular music in a while. And this year was kind of, I don't know, it felt boring in many places. Like for the first like half of the year, the only like actual exciting albums we would receive would be like Mayhem by Lady Gaga, and that would be kind of it. But by the end of the year, things really took a turn. Some of my favorite albums of all time were released this year, and I want to talk about them. Hello and hi, my name is Freyr. I'm your favorite local forest gremlin and a Polish sociology student. And I want to welcome you to my little corner of the internet where I discuss all forms of popular media that interest me, whether that's books, TV shows, or music. And today, you guessed it, I will be presenting you my top 10 of 2025 albums, my favorite albums of the year. Now, before we even like start talking about anything really that has to do with music this year, I just want to preface everything that's going to be said in this video by, it's my opinion.
How do you know what's good for me? That's my opinion!
I recognize that opinions can be polarizing, but I would really like for the comment section to remain civil. Try and act chill, try and act relaxed, please, because I know that ultimately there are gonna be some albums that I'm gonna include that people are gonna be like, what the hell? And there are also some albums that I'm not gonna include that people are also gonna be like, what the hell? This is very much a subjective video, and yeah, that's kind of the nature of it. I will be ranking those albums. However, I'm only gonna do that at the very end of the video because I actually don't think that the ranking part is like that important. It's gonna be at the very end after I'm done discussing all of the albums, because first I want to give all of them like a moment that they deserve. You know, I don't want to immediately like stack them on a ranking. That's a very much secondary concern for me. So yeah, with that being said, I kind of feel like we can start getting into it a little bit. But before I begin talking about some of my favorite projects of the year, I would quickly like to encourage you to please subscribe to my channel. Most of you aren't subscribed, and that really pains me. Click that button. You can also like the video, you can comment down below your ranking, your thoughts about the albums I'm including, anything you like, as long as it's respectful. And you can also follow me on all of my other socials. I'm very close to 10K on TikTok. You can follow me on there. I post short form content on there a lot. You can also follow me on Instagram, on Twitter, wherever you like. And yeah, with that being said, I think we can get into some albums. But also before we get into the top 10 albums of the year for me, I would like to give some shout outs, some honorable mentions. I have compiled a list of 3 albums that did not quite make my top 10, but I still want to give them quick, very quick shout outs. The first one being Kansas Anymore, The Longest Goodbye by Role Model. Why this wasn't in my top 10 is because this is technically an album that was released last year, and the only thing that actually came out this year was the deluxe edition, which is how I found out about the album and how I listened to it. So I'm just not gonna count it because I feel like it would be kind of unfair because this album mostly came out last year. But if I was counting it, this would be in my top 5. This album is actually like fucking insane, especially on a lyrical level. Like the sad, depressed, sarcastic cowboy persona that we get to see throughout all of it is like actually so engaging. But I also really like the way that Role Model writes about his emotions. Like it's so unique. I can't quite pinpoint what it is, but it's like, it's a very specific style of writing that just really appeals to me. I understand his sense of humor so much, and it comes alive in this album. My favorite songs would probably include The Diner, Old Recliners, Sun Protector, Writings on the Wall, and I mean, you kind of have to include the hit that is Sally When the Wine Runs Out. That song has been everywhere, and for good reason. So yeah, I love this project, and I'm very excited to see what Role Model does in the future. I will be sad. My next honorable mention is actually going to be an album that initially I quite didn't like because I just kind of felt like it was mid, and that is Bite Me by René Rapp. However, Since then, I have really grown to enjoy it, and it really, really grew on me. Just not enough to be in my top 10. I think it's a good project. It's cohesive. It has some really, really great songs on it. My favorites would probably include Kiss It, Kiss It, Mad, I Can Have You Around Me Anymore, those songs. But overall, yeah, it's a good album. I just think I need something slightly more Renee coded from her, because what the real complaint with this album to me is that it sounds like something anybody could really put out. It doesn't have that specific thing that makes it Renee rap. I think Snow Angel kind of had that. And I of course understand that it's not easy for an artist to suddenly have that factor. Like Sabrina Carpenter worked 10 years to find her like little niche that she thrives in. Yeah, I'm just kind of missing that from Renee at the moment. And I think Bite Me definitely could have benefited from having, I don't know, some more Renee-isms in it. And that kind of makes it harder to connect with the album as a whole. But still, I think that this is a step in a good direction. And whatever Renee puts out next, again, I will be sad. My third honorable mention for this year is going to be Art House by Nemo. This is, of course, the Eurovision winner of 2024 who put out a debut album this year. I am a little biased because I did get to see this album performed live, and also this is a signed poster I got from that concert. And I was also in Nemo's concert post, even though I looked like I was like dislocating my jaw because I was in the middle of like screaming or singing a song. I look horrible in that photo. Don't look it up. Although I'm probably gonna put it on screen. Okay. Never mind. This is probably the best album to ever be put out by an artist post Eurovision. It's so phenomenal. Out of the 14 songs on it, I would say there are like 2 that I actively dislike, and those are Ride My Baby and Frog Swamp, but even those live still worked phenomenally for me. This album has the hits, it has the Casanovas, it has the Hocus Pocus, you know, it has the code, but where it really shines for me is the slower moments. I Get High at the Party, godly song, and actually hearing it live, it was kind of like witnessing, you know, like Jesus come down from the sky and be like, hello. Like it was a religious experience. Nemo is one to watch for sure. And with my 3 honorable mentions being out of the way, I think we can get into my top 10. We're going to start with an album that, in my opinion, kind of defined 2025. An album that this year is going to be remembered for. An album put out by an icon, a legend, a mother that was just here to cause some mayhem. She's a legend, she's an icon, and she is the moment. Now come on now.
She's got a point. She's an icon, she's a legend, and she is the moment. Now come on now.
Mayhem was one of the biggest albums of the year, and I mean deservedly so. Like, this was the return to form for Gaga, but also not just a return to like the old Gaga, but also like a redefinition of that. And I feel like that's why it was so special to witness. And it's great to be able to experience that, especially as like a new Lady Gaga fan. I mean, personally, I wouldn't call myself a little monster. I'm more so like a small monster. Like, I've always liked her, but I didn't really know all the deep cuts. I haven't listened to all of her albums, you know, like that kind of thing. So getting to witness Mayhem as like kind of like a beginner, I would say, was a really, really special moment. This album has such amazing musical identity. It flows so well from one song to another. The gradual progression of sound that you see in Mayhem is so well executed. It's seamless. You don't even notice when it happens. The highlight of this album for me was always going to be the production, though. It's insane. Like, she packed everything into this project, and she gave us everything. She shines vocally too. Like, she is yelling, she is screaming, she's belting all over the place. She brings back the wildness of past Gaga eras and turns that all up to like 11. Every song is theater, it's a show, it's visual in its own way. And like, I can immediately like picture the performances of these songs. I have not been lucky enough to go to the Mayhem Ball. I have not attended, which does make me kind of sad because I kind of wanted to. She never visited Poland. I know she might at some point, we'll see. But without having seen most of the performances, because I have seen clips on social media, I can like imagine what the vibe would be. I can imagine some of like the choreo, like what the costumes would be like. It's such a clear aesthetic. This album is filled with catchy songs that work in the actual runtime of the album, but also outside of the album. This is a great album for like playlists. The instrumental vibes it brings are also just like immaculate. I wouldn't say that this is something that we see often from like mainstream pop stars, where you get these like more metal, more rock, like very alternative but still pop influences. Like she mixes all of that into such a unique like little mixture of sound that it like I don't think I've ever heard anything like that before. I do have few very slight critiques though, which we'll see how those are gonna be received. But first of all, I would say that this project is practically perfect. However, the ballads, Blade of Grass and The Beast, they are there. You know, I would say they are definitely the weakest tracks on this album. I think objectively, kind of. I mean, I don't know, maybe some people like them. I personally didn't really care for them. I still don't care for them. I think that they kind of, I don't want to say taint the like perfect runtime of Mayhem, because I understand why they're there, but they just kind of like, you know, I'm not going back to Mayhem to listen to The Beast or Blade of Grass. I'm going to listen to Killa or Zombie Boy, you know, Abracadabra, one of those like bigger and better songs. Also, on my first couple listens, the cohesiveness of this album was definitely a problem for me as well, which honestly I wasn't expecting, but let me explain. Basically, the first few times I listened to it, I didn't have like preconceived relationships with any of these songs. At some points of the album, I felt like we were kind of repeating what we've already done. Like by the time you get to like from like Garden of Eden to like Love Drug, Zombie Boy, then like Shadow of a Man, like it just all kind of blended together to the point that I wouldn't be able to like distinguish between the songs. Of course, that changed later when I got to actually like form different like relationships with these songs. But initially that was kind of a problem for me, because I was like, which one was Shadow of a Man? And which was Love Drug? I don't remember. Like, it was a problem for me. Also, I do think that there's one album specifically on this list that did sonical cohesion so well without feeling repetitive in places, especially on like those first few listens, which I'd argue are crucial when you're putting out an album. And we're gonna get into that album a little bit later. I'm gonna mention that when we get there. But yeah, just in general though, I love this album. And I would say my favorite songs off of Mayhem would include Zombie Boy, Killa, Garden of Eden, Abracadabra, and Perfect Celebrity. And yeah, overall, this has been an insane era. Getting to witness Gaga at her prime again is just, I think it's such a treat, especially as somebody who didn't really get to see her, you know, through like the art pop or Born This Way eras. Like I was alive, but I wasn't really like that on the internet. I didn't get to be a part of that. So getting to be a part of, even in a slight way, of the Mayhem era has been absolutely a treat, and I loved every second. This album will go down in pop culture history as like one of the iconic albums. I am sure of it. Just like this next artist is gonna go down in history for being one of the best artists ever. And dare I say, it's only a matter of time. I love making puns like these. A Matter of Time by LaVey is one of the most magical projects you will hear ever. This album to me feels like if you took like a soundtrack to one of the old like Disney movies, or like Snow White, Beauty and the Beast, like Little Mermaid, but and kept like all of the magic of it, but also added like a lot of realism. This is a realistic fairy tale. It's the Alice in Wonderland, it's the Snow White, but just like applied to real life struggles and real life hardships. It does such a good job of like romanticizing different encounters and different emotions, different feelings. It's actually like you're witnessing a Disney movie. It feels like you're watching a movie, a film, a work of art, like an Oscar-winning greatest film of all time. That's what this album sounds like to me. This was actually my first LaVey album, but I can guarantee you that it's not going to be my last, because just like clockwork, I fell in love with it and also with LaVey. What I really love about LaVey is how soothing she sounds. This voice is just like, you will never hear anything like this in the mainstream music scene. Like it just doesn't happen. She's so unique on the vocal front. Nobody's doing it like she is. Her voice is so like soothing and it feels like a warm blanket all of the time. Well, maybe not all of the time actually. This album is almost like a hug. It's a group therapy thing, but how we're healing is we're sort of like romanticizing different events and like making art out of them. This sound is just magical. I don't know how to describe it otherwise. It's classical, it's romantic, it's everything. It's cinematic and it's so original. The writing on it too, like she is a great lyricist. I feel like most people focus on her stylings and on how she sings and the music she produces, which like, yeah, fair. It's incredible and it's like unlike anything you will hear in the mainstream music scene, as I was saying before. But we have to put some respect on her pen game because you get songs on this album that like are actually heartbreaking when you read the lyrics. And like the number one leader of that group of songs to me is Forget Me Not, which also features a part in Icelandic, which is so cool to hear, but also writing a love letter to a place that you left years ago and kind of like reminiscing on how, like the nostalgia of that song and just how beautifully she puts it. And then the Icelandic part is just like the perfect cherry on top. Snow White, like that song, I'm sorry, that song was, still is actually just like a lot to take in, really. I would say emotionally it's really sad. This girl knows how to write a song. Also, I don't really like interludes in albums that much, but this album has an interlude that I don't think I've skipped once. It's called The Cuckoo Ballet, and it's one of the most beautiful songs, well, instrumental pieces, but one of the most beautiful things you will hear. It's so good, and it ties those themes that you see in the first half of the album with the second half. It's like a transition process throughout it's just, yeah, everything. The placement of it too is so specific, and I love that. That interlude is actually so fucking good. This album had me sobbing, it had me on the floor, it had me dancing, it had me romanticizing every single little interaction I've ever had with anybody. Like, I fell in love with it. This is one of those sounds that you just cannot replicate. And it's also not that you're just like hearing it, you're experiencing it in your brain. The way she sings makes everything feel like more cerebral, like it actually is happening in your head, not just in your ears. I don't know if that makes sense to people. I feel like there are like albums or sounds typically that like do make me feel like that. I would say Evermore by Taylor Swift is a great example of that, where like that album happens in your head. I love every single song on this project, but if I had to pinpoint my favorites, I would say Forget Me Not, which probably is my favorite of the entire project. Then I would probably say Silver Lining, Tough Luck, Too Little Too Late, Snow White, and maybe Clean Air. But honestly, I still love all of them. I fucking adore this project. It's one of my favorite things I've heard all year, and it's probably gonna be one of my favorite things I've heard all decade at this point. Immediately, this album was like a soul-touching experience. It just like spoke to me the first time I heard it. This didn't need to grow on me at all. The first time I heard it, I already was like, yes. I cannot recommend this album enough. It's so good. If you haven't heard this album, please go and listen to it. It's just the most beautiful thing you will ever hear. I think LaVey really brings something that is missing in the musical industry, and I love the fact that she's still here. But there's also one more artist that I'm really glad to see back, despite the fact that she's been, around for decades, just maybe not on her own. And this year she actually made a solo debut album, which I got to react to on the channel. And boy, did I love it. Out of all of the albums on this list, I would say that That's Showbiz Baby is probably the most recent that I've heard, because I made that reaction video like 2 weeks ago at the time of me filming this video. And yeah, I immediately understood why this was such a hyped project. I think that this is pop perfection, but just like redefined. Jade takes inspirations from like house music, club music, brings in this insanely hype production, but also gives a lot of depth, which initially I actually didn't catch. I was really focused on like the production side of things, because this album is like perfectly produced, and we're gonna get to that in a minute. But going back to it and listening to it more, those lyrics are like a lot in places, like Before You Break My Heart or Silent Disco specifically, or Natural Disaster too. Yeah, like she has pen game, and I didn't realize that at first, but she definitely is great at it. She has the polish of an industry professional, but also the novelty of being a debuting solo act. And that means that she has the experience and knows how to make music that is gonna grab your attention immediately and make you obsessed, make you addicted, actually. This album stayed with me post-listen and it really, really grew on me. I've really enjoyed the world of That Showbiz Baby. I think the soundscape of it is just perfect. It's so cohesive too, but like at every single little turn, she surprises you with adding more tricks or like slowdowns or like changing the tempo or like suddenly introducing a new kind of instrumentation. Like she keeps you on your toes at every single point of this album. Every song just feels correct, and it's also so much more dramatic than anything you will hear on the radio. I truly don't think that this album has any low points. This was also a visual album, which at the time of me listening to it for the first time, I didn't get to react to the visuals because YouTube can be very mean when you're reacting to like visual media. Actually, it's mean when you're reacting to media just in general. But like, I did get to see the music videos that were made for this album after I have listened to it, and I gotta say, yeah, they are credible. Whilst I was listening to this album, I think it's in the reaction. I think I said several times that I thought that like I could immediately see what the visual representation of each song would be. And actually, I feel like in places I was pretty spot on. My favorite of the visuals was probably Silent Disco, just because it made me feel something. So I really enjoyed it. My favorite tracks are Headache, Natural Disaster, Silent Disco, Before You Break My Heart, and Fantasy. This is like the updated pop perfection in my opinion. This is what pop perfection sounds like in the 2020s. I feel like each decade kind of has, you know, those albums that kind of signify the change, the evolution in the popular music landscape just in general. I feel like this is one of those. This is what pop music sounds like in the 2020s. And I love it. But now we're gonna go from like enthralling production and songwriting to enchanting production, songwriting, singing, everything really. This album is just pure magic. Sympathy magic, if you will. You know, this is one of the most magical and vulnerable projects I've heard in a while. And it's just, at every point, it just shocked me. It made me feel so many things. It transported me into different worlds. This album, oh my God. This is also one of those albums that I did react to on YouTube. And this is one of those albums that I went to completely blindly without knowing much, aside from the title track, which was one of the singles that was Everybody Scream. And when I finished filming that reaction, I put this album on again. And I cried to, I think, like 8 of the songs. And then for the rest of them, I was just levitating. Like I was really trying at some points of this album. You might see it in the reaction. I was really trying to just not like break down in front of a camera because I feel like that would be a little awkward. But like, ooh, some of these songs really, really got me. And also having researched this project more, this is heartbreaking. The storytelling and how she brings in the witchcraft elements is so unique, but it makes also for such a more complete and unique experience as well. Those are things that we've heard other artists talk about, but because there is like that magic, that haunting element to it, it feels like, I don't know, even more dangerous, even more heartbreaking, even sadder, because it feels like actually like there's some like higher forces, magic in play, and it just, I don't know, it makes for such a unique listening experience that I cannot quite put towards like how this album makes me feel. It's so difficult, but it's magic. It's terrifying, but it's also heartbreaking, and it's also jaw-dropping, and in very, very few places it's actually like very like joyful, like Sympathy Magic and Love, those 2 songs, love. Her songwriting though, like I was not aware of her game. I knew that she could write a mean song. Like she is a great songwriter, I knew that, but I wasn't aware of just like how incredible she was at it. This is one of the best writing I've seen in a while. Like just go, do yourself a favor and go and read the lyrics to One of the Greats or Perfume and Milk. Just go and do that. No one does music like Florence does music. The instrumentals, the vocals, this album is actually like laced with some like magical elixirs or something. It's so addicting. It's just so epic. Every song is a showstopper, whether that's because you need to take a break in order to wipe your tears, or whether that's because it's just so epic and you start levitating all of a sudden. Every single song does that to you. At every corner, you're greeted with like sounds out of this world, haunting vocals, breathtaking lyricism. I would say my favorite songs include Sympathy Magic, which is probably my favorite song of the year at this point, One of the Greats, Buckle, Old Religion, and You Can Have It All. But every song on this album is just everything to me. Like, they are all just so good. I would say that this is probably the most magical project of the year. I love it so much. I'm so glad I listened to it. I'm so glad to also have filmed the reaction. A lot of people seem to enjoy that one, and getting to learn more about this project with you guys was just such a privilege, and I loved every second. If you ever listen to Everybody Scream by Florence and the Machine and you feel like your heart is empty and you're too tired to cry anymore, or I don't know, songs like Buckle just like stomped on your heart, well, I do have an album that I would recommend in order to feel a little bit better. I kid you not, I was so emotionally exhausted after my first listen to Everybody Scream that I did just fully put this album on just in order to like feel something that wasn't like despair and just like sadness. And it actually worked. Princess of Power is honestly one of the most camp and fun projects we've received in a while. I love this album so much. When I talked about mayhem, I talked about one specific album that I feel like did sonical cohesion so well without feeling repetitive, and this is the one. I've seen the sound of Princess of Power be described as made by a person who's never played a video game in her whole life, and honestly, I can kind of see it, but also that's not a bad thing. It's disco, it's 80s, it's electronic, it's video game, it's just so like immensely cunty too. Marina has been iconic for a while, but I was so shocked with just how polished and perfect this album was. Like, it is perfect, and the themes of like heartbreak and independence and strength and love that it explores and how it does it is so unique, but also just like, I don't know, for some reason I was like gagged that this was an album that we're getting from Marina of all people. She had so much fun with the production of it all. She does a lot of very like fun vocal moments, and which like she's never been like afraid to just go full camp, have fun with it, and I love that. Like, one of my favorite moments actually of the entire album is the bridge of Final Boss when she's like, "Thank you, Mario," and it's like genuinely one of my favorite things ever. It's so fun. I also love that this album is like shits and giggles, you know, party, fun, love, falling in love, and just like, you know, talking trash about some band, like that kind of vibe. And then it suddenly gets very, very serious.
Hey!
Everybody Knows I'm Sad, which by the way, went platinum in my household. And also Adult Girl. Yeah, these songs were a lot to take in at first because I was just so shocked. There's layers to Princess of Power, and I love an album that has layers. You can dance to this, you can cry to this. It's versatile as hell. And honestly, ultimately, something that is always going to strike me the most with this album is just how perfect it sounds. And honestly, what's always going to be striking me about this specific album is just how incredible Marina's voice is. She's somebody that I feel like everybody recognizes because of like lyrical ability, or like the concept that she comes up with, because they're like never before seen and very, very original. She brings something new to the table every single time she drops. But we have to put some respect on her vocal ability, because she is like singing all of these other girls to bed on this album. Like, you get the moments of like, I Love You, Butterfly, Princess of Power. It's just the vocal ability on this woman. Let's put some respect on her pipes, because she put them to work on this album. My favorite songs are going to be Cupid's Girl, Everybody Knows I'm Sad, Adult Girl, Metallic Stallion, Cantissimo, and also Princess of Power. This album is a lot of fun until it's not. But you know what else is fun? A little controversial project, the album cover of which created so much discourse around the internets for practically no reason.
Dance break.
Initially, when I heard Man's Best Friend, I liked it, but I didn't really love it. It felt like a good album, but I just didn't really I know it didn't really catch me the same way that Short and Sweet has. So I was like a little, I don't want to say disappointed, but I was just like, it wasn't what I was expecting from Man's Best Friend, really. I think this was one of those albums that really needed some time to like marinate. And by like, I don't know, a week after the release, when I've been just like listening to it constantly, it grew on me so much. This album is a lot of fun. Like every song is kind of perfect to me. This is another one that I think is a great playlist album because these songs work well together, but also work very well outside of the album. These songs are everywhere in my playlist, everywhere, like really. I love the retro styles that Sabrina brings. I also love that the sarcasm is just like ever flowing in this album. Her voice too, like try and sing one of those songs at karaoke. I dare you, try. One of the complaints for this project was that she sings about men too much, which, okay, I do kind of think that this is like a kind of misogynistic piece of criticism because like you won't tell that to a male artist when they're like singing about a love interest. So like, why is she not allowed to do that? But also, I don't think she sings about men that much on this project either way. In my opinion, what this project really is Sabrina singing about herself in those relationships with those men. It's all very much from her point of view and very much like a deeper look into her psyche, into how she copes with certain situations and how she kind of tries to get through them. We do get to see a bit of like how those men treat her and how they've hurt her, but I don't think it's ever like the actual focus of the album. The actual focus of the album is her mental health and like how she deals with all of that. I think that this is the strongest songwriting of her career. Like, I'm sorry, it just is. Like, you get Nobody's Son, Don't Worry, I'll Make You Worry. You get We Almost Broke Up Again Last Night, Go Go Juice, House Tour. She is on another level on this album. She gets horny, she calls out some man, she criticizes herself, she gags us with the most raunchy, horny, slutty lyrics you will ever hear. Like, I will never forget the first time I listened to Tears or to House Tour for that matter.
Oh. So this is a song about sex.
She sounds amazing. The songs are banging. I actually really like the vintage sounds she brings. Sometimes I do feel like when artists go a little bit more old school with the music, it doesn't really feel authentic. It does feel like, you're trying to emulate something that works before, but it isn't really that authentic. It doesn't really work that well. But with her, you can tell that she studied these people. You can tell that all of the inspirations that come from like Janet Jackson, ABBA, Dolly Parton, those are like actually her idols. It doesn't feel like a costume. It feels like an authentic representation of what Sabrina likes. My favorite songs are going to be on Don't Worry, I'll Make You Worry, Go Go Juice, House Tour, Nobody's Son, and Never Getting Laid. This was a horny, fun project that is also surprisingly deep in many places. However, it's also an album done by a very mainstream artist that we all recognize. This next album, however, I wouldn't say the same because this artist is pretty much new to the scene. I wouldn't say they've made like a insanely big name for themselves, but I kind of want them to. Not to be rude to this next artist, but I don't think most of you watching have heard this album. And it's okay, listen, it's always good to discover a new artist and listen to a new project for the first time. So yeah, this is gonna be my like, I'm not like the other girls type of pick in this specific video, so that the entire list isn't just like A-list singers and performers, but also that's because this album touched me on a spiritual level, and I just kind of need to talk about it. The next album is called Achilles, and it's done by Kevin Atwater. I initially discovered Kevin through Instagram Reels, which I know, bad place to be in, just in general, but I saw a video of him playing something on guitar, and I saw the little like text on the bottom that said that SZA commented on that video, and I was like, okay, if SZA likes it, I'm gonna give him a shot. The song was called, I believe it was Why Did You Invite Me to Your Wedding? I stayed for the entirety of that video. He played that song, and then immediately after that, I closed Instagram. I went to Spotify, saved that song, and I saw that he has 2 albums out. So I was like, okay, I know what I'm gonna be doing tomorrow. I'm just gonna deep dive this guy's discography. And I'm so glad I did, because he had a very, very new album called Achilles that came out in March of this year. And boy, was it a life-changing listen. I love gay music, and I also love sad music. And that might be because at heart, I am a sad homosexual, and thus this album really spoke to me. It's sad, It's gay, it's acoustic, it's heartfelt, it's heartbreaking, beautiful music. This album is just everything. This album is almost like therapy in a way. This sounds like the Call Me By Your Name soundtrack if it was made into like a pop folk album that I actually listen to, because listen, that soundtrack is good, but like, let's be honest, I don't come back to it often. This album, on repeat. The soundscape is so cohesive, although I would say that it does have a similar problem to albums like Mayhem, where it like gets too cohesive in places, because some of these songs are like more difficult to distinguish between each other, especially on first few listens, because they do kind of sound alike, and what you're distinguishing them with is mostly the lyrical content, not necessarily how they sound. But still, when you get past that and when you listen to it more, it grows on you so much. I would say on the lyrical front, that's where every song kind of stands out in its own way. But then you also get moments like the title track, Achilles, where Kevin just goes all in. It's so much more louder than the entire album. And it's also like a very like fun switch up, especially at the end of the project. It shows that like he has a lot of versatility to him. And I would actually like to see him do something that sounds more like the song Achilles in the future. This album is very quiet, but when it gets loud, it's incredible. Kevin has probably like the most delicate, tender, soft voice I've ever heard in my life. He just sounds so like innocent and heartbroken and just like honest. His voice really does things to me. And also, I talked a lot about different artists in this video and their pen game, and this guy and his pen game. Family Party is a no for me, dog. I'm sorry, I hate that song because of how much it makes me feel. Like, how dare you actually? That's kind of like rude of you to write a song like this. Didn't you think about like, I don't know, how your listeners would feel? Like, what possessed you to write that? I don't know. And also, I can relate to it so much, specifically around like Christmas. No, I am not gonna cry. Then you get songs like Huntley, where he sings about his dead dog, or Call of Duty, where he sings about like the cycle of violence and how he wants to
Yeah.
This guy is the shit, okay? He is one to watch. Like, I want this guy to be the next big thing. I think the music is there, the talent is there, the vision is there. He is just so unique, and he makes beautiful, beautiful music. I want him to be like the next big thing, the next like discovery that people find, and suddenly he's like everywhere. I need everybody to experience this album. I genuinely do. He can conquer the world with the power of depression and power of homosexuality. I know he can do it. My favorite songs are gonna be Call of Duty, Family Party, Achilles, Jamie's Daydreams, and The Cage. This is an album that you listen to whilst you're like on a walk in the forest, just like contemplating life, and it's such a perfect experience, although it is sad. I love to contemplate though. Like, this is soft, tender, close to the listener, so calm. Completely unlike our next album. Well, maybe not completely, but when you see which album we're gonna be talking about next, I think you're gonna understand the contrast. Lux was my first Rosalia album. I've never heard a project from her before, and safe to say I've been missing out. This album left me absolutely speechless, and also I have a reaction to it on my YouTube channel, and I believe that it's the best performing video of mine, which I feel very, very grateful. You have been very, very kind to me with that reaction, although I cannot monetize it because it's a reaction, so that kind of sucks. But either way, the support has been incredible from the Rosalia fans. This album is a religious experience, dare I say, just in general. Initially, the language barrier was definitely real for me because I do not speak Spanish, and I also do not speak most of the languages she used in this album, so I did not understand anything that was going on. But I kind of didn't need to, because the music just spoke for itself. Her voice and the production she chose for each and every one of those songs, that in and of itself tells a story. She brings these classical music elements, but reinvents them in a way that I've never seen before. and in a way that genuinely left me speechless every single time she would do it. Like, production-wise, this album is actually unbelievable. How does one think of doing something like this when you get songs like, I don't know, Berghain or Sauvignon Blanc or Mio Cristo Piangi Diamante? Like, it's insane. The vocal department, this album too, like, oh my god, she came into that studio angry and ready to utilize those pipes in the best way possible. I fucking adore her voice. I was so like unaware of how much she could do with it. I didn't know she could like pull off opera or actually any of the other sounds we hear on Lux. I kind of knew her from like the Biscochito, the Con Altura of it all. I didn't know that was like her range. And when I got past the language barrier, holy shit. I sometimes look back at that reaction and I think it's so funny that like with songs like, for example, La Perla, I was just vibing. I was just having a good time. I was like, oh, okay, this is cute. This is cute. And then I read the lyrics.
I'm in a complete state of shock. I forgot what I was going to say.
We are currently cursing someone and their entire family tree, and I'm just over there vibing. This album is perfection. This is art. This is something that you don't see often. I think sometimes the pop world gets a little too comfortable in the sounds that it utilizes and the sounds that it gets popular, and it kind of needs somebody like Rosalia to come in and just shake things up. I think projects like these can show people how broad and interesting and beautiful art can be and how innovative it can be despite the state of mainstream media and popular music at large. I kind of think of people like Billie Eilish when she first put out her debut album as kind of like a similar person to Rosalia in this case, where, you know, she kind of changed the game in a way with that debut album. I think some people would care to disagree, but I do kind of think that her debut album was like a revolutionary moment for music. And I think similarly of projects like, for example, last year when we had Brat, you can definitely see influences of Brat in different projects that we got this year because of how influential it was. And I think it definitely changed the game a bit. I think Lux is gonna do exactly the same. This is gonna be remembered as one of those revolutionary albums. This is gonna shake up the industry. This is gonna leave a cultural mark on everybody, and it's gonna be remembered as like one of the great albums of the 2020s. I felt like I got to experience a cultural moment with everybody firsthand. Like, I was listening to this album and I already knew that this was going to be like incredibly important for pop culture this year, and it was. I would say my favorite songs off of the projects are Sauvignon Blanc, which is probably my favorite song actually off of it. La Rumba del Perdón, La Jugular, Magnolias. Oh my god, that song. And also La Perla, but there are so many other songs that I love on it as well. It's just, this album is everything to me. This iconic reset, cultural reset from Rosalia had to be on this list. But you know what else had to be on this list? One of the most heartbreaking, soul-crushing, and beautiful albums of the year that was fully inspired by the relationship that the artist who created it was in with Vecna from Stranger Things. Just a heads up, the Vecna thing is an inside joke in Colin's fandom. In fact, he did not date Jamie Campbell Bower, but he did write one of the best albums of all time, actually. I think of the previous 3 Conan albums as like steps in his artistic development, his like artistic evolution in a way. Kid Crow was where we saw that he can be an incredibly good pop songwriter. I think Kid Crow is his strongest songwriting out of the first 3. Then on Super Egg, we got to see him as the vocalist. He is belting all over that album. And then Found Heaven has the perfect production. Like, that album is produced to the maximum and it's perfect. Each one of those has an element that he worked really hard to harness in these projects. But then you get Wishbone, which I think is the combination of the 3. This is where he comes into his own and just emerges as like a fully realized, fully ready artist that knows what he's doing, and is bringing phenomenal music as a result. This is the next main pop boy that everybody is looking for. Like, that conversation always pisses me off because everybody's like, oh my God, like Benson Boone, like Troye Sivan. I'm like, okay, yeah, these people are popular, but you have him right here. He's very popular. Just push him a little bit harder, and he is your main pop boy. But again, it's not surprising to me that Wishbone is his most critically acclaimed project up to date. Because damn, I first listened to this album on a TikTok live, and I thought that was a very difficult experience, honestly, because several points of this album, I really wanted to cry, but I was like, I am not ready to cry on TikTok live of all places. Like, I don't think that's the moment. I don't think that's the place for that. I was trying like really, really hard not to, and I got through it, although 11:11 almost got my ass. Like, if that song had been like 20 seconds longer, I would have lost and I would have just started crying. But thankfully it isn't. And I managed to make it through. And the moment I finished that live, I put that album on again and I immediately started writing a video about it, which, by the way, I do have a full analysis of this album on my channel. It flopped tremendously, but maybe now people are gonna watch it. I don't know. The video was titled Why Wishbone is my album of the year. And I mean, is it? We're gonna find out by the end of the video. But still, I was listening to this album, taking notes for it, and I cried to, I want to say 8 of the 12 songs. Because like the first 4, I was like, okay. And then My World was where the tears started coming in, but those were like happy tears because I love My World. My World is an incredible song and everybody sleeps on it. And then you get into the run of songs that is Class Clown, Nauseous, Caramel, Connell, Sunset Tower. Like, it's just a hit after hit straight in the stomach. Conan has this rare ability of just taking your heart and pulling like a Once Upon a Time heart crushing move on it with his music. It's actually, it's a talent, but it's also like very, very scary to me. Mind you, I've been single my entire life. I've never dated anyone. And when I was listening to this album, I felt like I was going through divorce. The heartbreak and just how he describes it, it genuinely feels like you're seeing it with your own eyes. This enters your soul, enters your mind, and tears you to shreds. And I love it. And this is another one of those albums that doesn't just happen here, it also happens here. It's cerebral. Like, I see this album. I not only hear it, I see it. I feel like that's a crazy statement to make. Like, well, maybe not crazy, but like, I don't know if people react to music the same way that I do. Like, I have full body experiences when I'm listening to music. It isn't just like, oh, this is a nice sound. Like, I am fully in it. And albums like Wishbone just like affect me in ways other projects are just incapable of affecting me, really. This production he pulls for this album is just the perfect blend of the like polished pop, slightly rock sound with the most like romantic, beautiful strings, and also the singer-songwriter like ballad vibe. It merges into this beautiful, breezy, dreamy soundscape that is just perfect, especially for an album with this aesthetic. You know, it's very dreamy, it's very sailory as well. You look at the album cover of this album and immediately like you hear what it sounds like. This album cover is exactly what it sounds like, and it's perfect. Every song is insane. The vocals are off the charts. You want to talk about vocals with him? Girl, Vodka Cranberry. That high note is crazy. You get the little like yodel moment in Care. That is insane. The entirety of 11:11 too is just soul crushing. And the writing is also insane. Like, I challenge you to go and read some of these lyrics. Try and read the lyrics to Class Clown. Try and read the lyrics to Nauseous, to Sunset Tower. Like, he is over there writing the most fucking heartbreaking shit you will ever hear in your life. The production is also just like insane. I've already talked about it, but like the entirety of Caramel and how it feels a little bit more like rough around the edges, the little tricks in Nauseous, especially in like the second verse of it, and the entirety of Sunset Tower, the intro of Care, the full instrumental identity of this song. he was not playing around. This album is so good that it actually like physically hurts. Like I am unwell every single time I listen to it because it's just so good that it's overwhelming. This album changed my brain chemistry forever, for good, if you will. I will never be the same as I was before listening to Wishbone. And honestly, thank fucking God, I don't want to be that person anymore. I'm so glad I got to experience this album. And also, I'm very glad because I'm gonna experience this album live. I did manage to snag the tickets to his tour. He's gonna be visiting Kraków in Poland. I'm going to the date. If you see me there, say hi. The date is in May 29th, I believe. I will be levitating. Like I actually need some people next to me to like hold me down when he starts singing like 11:11 or this song or Family. The fact that Family Line is on that set list. Just like how do you put a song like Family Line on your set list for a world tour? I will be either like levitating above the stadium or I'm gonna be like on the floor just like in a little like puddle of tears. That's the two states I'm gonna be in during this concert. Let's see which one it will be. I have the tickets though, and I could like actually cry thinking about it. Like this album means so much to me. My favorite songs off of Wishbone are Care, 11:11, Nauseous, Caramel, and Sunset Tower. But once again, every song on this album is actually perfect. Just go and listen to Wishbone. After you're done with this video, go and listen to Wishbone. This is one of those albums that everybody needs to hear because this is his magnum opus so far. This is his best album. This is his best work. It's the most soul-crushing, vulnerable things he's ever written. Some of the best songs he's ever written. Best production, best vocal. He created an album that many artists are not capable of creating throughout their entire careers. And it's just, it's magic. It's pure magic. And yeah, that leaves us with only one album actually. This video kind of flew by. Like I typically sit here for like hours and yap. I think that this video might actually be quite short in comparison to some of my other stuff because I am a yapper. But wouldn't you know it, we're already at the last album of the video. And let's just say I did place this album strategically last in this video because I know that some of you people are unable to act normal about this next artist. And I also know that you would probably click off the video if I mentioned them in the start. And I kind of need that watch time. So that's why I decided to be strategic. Anyway, I'm just gonna speak my truth. You can't stop me from doing that. Cue the hate comments. Go and write your little thesis about why I'm wrong or rather about why this album sucks. I don't know. I don't care really. Let's talk about Taylor Swift. Yes, The Life of a Showgirl is a good album, despite what TikTok told you. And actually, it's even better when you don't have an annoying bitch whining constantly in your ear about why it's horrible and trying to just sell you on the dozens of conspiracy theories that grew around it. It's just a pop album. It's just a fun pop album. That's all it is. And actually, I made a video about this album, wouldn't you believe it? 2 even. I made a reaction to it and I also made a video talking about it and trying to explain it to people who might not get it. And this is, I guess, another attempt at doing that. Is Showgirl the best Taylor Swift album to date? No, it obviously isn't. Like, I don't think she's ever going to top the heights of like Folklore or Evermore, although personally she did come close to doing that with Tortured Poets. But Showgirl isn't really meant to be compared to those albums. It's not that. They are not the comparison here. I listened to it for the first time expecting a pop project, and that's exactly what I got. This isn't meant to be in the Folklore, Evermore, world of music that Taylor has dabbled in before. Like, this is meant to be like the 1989. This is meant to be the Red, the Reputations, the Lovers. That's where Showgirl resides, and that's where she thrives. I think that this album, I can comfortably say, has some of the best songs of her entire career. Like, The Fate of Ophelia specifically, that is one of the best singles she's ever released. And everybody who like shits on her ability to pick singles, which, okay, I would argue sometimes she has picked badly in the past. But again, in my opinion, since Folklore, she has not missed once. And Fate of Ophelia is proof of that. Like, this is the 2020s version of like Blank Space or Style, the way that it's like an absolute hit. But then you also get songs like Opalite, you get Elizabeth Taylor, you get The Life of a Showgirl, you get Ruin the Friendship. Like, this album has everything. You get Honey. Honey is like the ultimate. Oh, I love Honey so much. This is just a fun album. She gave no shits. She said, I love you, Travis. Fuck some of you people. I'm gonna be immortal forever. And she should say it. People call her every name under the sun for this album because, oh, she came for Charlie XCX, or, oh, she is writing a little too much about Travis and wants to have kids with him. I'm like, aren't you guys tired sometimes? Because I was so tired. That release week, being a Taylor Swift fan is not for the weak, and that release week really, really proved it. The way that the Swifties started turning on her, like, I see you, and now you might be like trying to rewrite history and be like, oh no, I wasn't like. The North remembers. I think the hate train both made this album less enjoyable for me, but also made me more attached to it because I felt vindicated in a way. Like, I was like, no, I am going to defend this album. This is a good album. And all of you people are stupid for the shit you'd be saying about it. Like, sorry, all of the conspiracy theories around the fucking, what was it? The wishlist lyrics that she was like being racist in them, or canceled, that she was like, give me a break. Also, like, as I'm saying, the hate campaign actually made me feel more attached to this project. I found new things in it every single time I've listened to it. I enjoyed it so much. This, I think, is some of the best pop production of her career. When you get songs like The Fate of Ophelia or Elizabeth Taylor or Cancelled, which people also don't really like Cancelled. I actually really enjoyed that song. I think it's like, yeah, it is a little corny, but like, it's corny in a fun way. I live by the very wise words. To be cringe is to be free. And if something is a little cringy, that doesn't gonna deter me from enjoying it. I think Cancelled is a really good song. And I also think that the production of it is like one of the highlights of the album. She's having fun. She's in love. She's engaged. Let her say what she wants. Let her just put out a fun pop project. And let's all just like have fun with it. Let's dance. Let's laugh. I would say my main problem about Showgirl specifically was the marketing. The Showgirl aesthetic I loved. It was such a good idea. But for this specific album, I did kind of feel confused by it once I heard the album, because you get to see some like Showgirl references in places. I mean, namely the titular track, but also I would argue like Elizabeth Taylor. But the rest of the album, I wouldn't necessarily guess that would be the aesthetic for it had I heard it prior to knowing what the aesthetic was. You know what I'm saying? I wish that she had like actually pulled some more like Showgirl, like Vegas kind of like glam influences into the music. But other than that, I still think that this is a very good project. But yeah, the hate for this album was so forced. If you don't like it, just don't listen to it. It's really that simple. And let other people enjoy their music in peace. Let them talk about it. Let them rave about it in peace without feeling the need to like go purposefully out of your way to ruin their day and make them feel worse for enjoying something. I think that's such a like asshole move to do. Like, why is it so important to so many people to just like ruin the fun for others? I don't understand that mindset. And also, it's really not that serious. I, being, you know, a small, relatively content creator, I've received dozens of comments and DMs with people being like, no, I hate this album, like, fuck you. I'm like, what possesses you to do, like, why, where, when has it ever been this serious? It's just a pop album. Why is it bad that I'm enjoying it? Like, what the fuck? But to sum things up, my favorite songs off of the project are Fate of Ophelia, Ruin the Friendship, which I'm still very, very upset on myself because in my reaction, I didn't catch what Ruin the Friendship was about. And I'm still very, very mad at myself because, yeah, I should have predicted that. I should have seen that. And then the rest of the songs are Life of a Showgirl, the titular track, which is probably my favorite song of the entire project, Honey, and Elizabeth Taylor. I think Showgirl is the perfect album to wrap this video up. I mean, when you really listen to The Life of a Showgirl, the song itself, and you get to that final part where she's kind of like thanking the audience and like being like, give it up for the dancers, the band, and of course Sabrina. I love you, Taylor. I think that's the perfect closer. I think that might be one of my favorite closers actually of the year as well. But yeah, I think it's the perfect album to close the video on. Thank you so much for sitting through my yapping and, incoherent thought making. And now I would like to present you with my ranking of the 10 albums that I just talked about for probably far too long, but we persist. So for this last part of the video, I thought that it would be appropriate to use the help of my incredibly loyal whiteboard named Bethany in order to rank the 10 albums I just yapped about. So yeah, we're gonna start from the bottom to the very top. And yeah, that's how we're gonna do it. Please be kind to me. Please don't be upset at my opinions. Thank you in advance. In 10th place, we have The Life of a Showgirl by Taylor Swift. Now, like doing this ranking kind of makes me want to like reference that audio from, I think it's Dance Moms, where they're like, at the bottom of the pyramid, Paige, you didn't stick out to me. But I thought it would be a little bit inappropriate. Either way, The Life of a Showgirl is my 10th place. Again, I still think that this is a great pop album. However, it has some very, very stiff competition in this video specifically, and yeah, that's just unfortunately how the cookie crumbled for it, but I still love it. I mean, it is in my top 10. Like, duh, I love it, I adore it. At number 9, we have Man's Best Friend by Sabrina Carpenter. Again, a lovely pop album. I've really grown to enjoy it a lot, especially since the first time I heard it. But it's gonna be a little bit lower than the ranking considering, how stacked the competition is. At number 8, we have probably the first like really controversial take in this ranking. Because it's Mayhem by Lady Gaga. I really enjoy this album. I think it's kind of like pop perfection in a way, but I wouldn't say I have like as big of a connection with it as I have as some of the albums that I decided to put higher on the list. However, I mean, it's still such an iconic project that's gonna be remembered for decades. At number 7, we have Achilles by Kevin Atwater. This is like, as I was saying, my little like indie pick of the video. I adore this album. It means so much to me. I've developed such an emotional connection to it. Just like with all of the albums that I have above it, it's incredible. I love it so much. At number 6, I have That's Showbiz Baby by Jade. One of the best debut albums of the decade, in my opinion. Yeah, just like a perfect pop album that only continues to grow. I think this is gonna be, again, remembered as like one of the pop albums of the decade. Number 5, I've decided to put Princess of Power by Marina. I think this might be like one of my favorite pop albums that I've heard in a while. It's just so catchy. I love the soundscape of it. I think the aesthetic is just so clear to me, but also I resonated with it very well. At number 4, I've decided to put Everybody Scream by Florence and the Machine. Again, one of the most magical projects I've ever heard. The witchiness, the hauntingness is just off the charts. I love the almost like folk horror vibes it has. It's just everything to me. It's such a good project and I'm so happy that I listened to it. I'm definitely gonna be deep diving more of Florence's discography. A lot of people in the comments for my reaction video for Everybody Scream told me to do that. So I'm definitely hearing you guys. I'm definitely planning on doing that. In the near future. We have entered my top 3 and the first album on that list is A Matter of Time by LaVey. This album just like, I think I talked about it in that section so much. It's just so like close to you. It feels like it's, your friend telling you these stories, but also making it like a bit of a show, like giving it a little bit more of that romanticness, a little bit of that like movie factor in a way. It's just so beautiful, so touching, and just so, I don't know, relaxing as well. It's everything to me. That leaves us with 2 spots on my top 2. And I think this is where some people are gonna be yelling at me in the comments being like, but I stand with my opinions. Lux by Rosalia is my second favorite album of the year. This is utter magic, utter chaos, just like witnessing a cultural moment, a reinvention of what music can be in the year 2025. This is an epic project, a project that is going to be remembered forever. However, it is not my favorite album of the year. It's very close to that. I'm still gagged by just like how epic and iconic it is. However, Wishbone by Conan Gray takes the cake for me. I've said in this video, I think multiple times, I always prioritize like personal connection. And even though I've connected with practically all of the albums on this list, I don't think any of them have touched me in a way that Wishbone has. Like there are only few albums that had this effect on me like Wishbone had. I would say Evermore and Folklore from Taylor Swift, those would be ones. And then I would also say like maybe Stick Season by Noah Kahan and The Great Impersonator by Halsey. But like this album is just like laced with actual crack, and it just spoke to me on a spiritual level. This album made me feel things I didn't know I was capable of feeling. And I don't care. I think that this might be like one of those opinions from the video that people are going to be like, well, whatever. I stand my ground. I think that this is one of the best albums of the decade. And I think if you have not heard Wishbone, I just go and listen to it. This album is like actually perfect. This is Conan Gray at his best. And Conan Gray at his best is like incredible. It's like godly level of music. So yeah, this is my top 10 of the 2025 albums. I am expecting some people to disagree with me, but again, opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one. Well, I mean, I think, right? Okay, that's a weird tangent to go off on. Okay, anyway, anyway, I think that's it for me for this video. I've already yapped long enough. I had to film this video in like multiple parts because I'm like doing Christmas preparations whilst filming this, so it's a lot, but hopefully it was watchable, and hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you maybe, I don't know, enjoyed some of my takes. And if you liked the video, I would really like to encourage you to subscribe to my channel once again. I will be here in a week's time to rank some more 2025 related things. Those are being, of course, the cultural moments and memes of 2025. That's gonna be pretty much a very long video because I've gotten like tons of suggestions, and I don't know how I'm gonna fit them all there. I'm probably gonna have to cut some of them. But yeah, I'm already preparing that video. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I hope that you're going to stick around for that. But that video will come out like late next week. So it's going to be after Christmas. So I just want to say Merry Christmas to you from me, from my little gremlin household. I wish you all the best. Thank you so much for sticking around. Thank you so much for watching, for engaging with this video. And I will see you in a week's time. Bye.